Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and Restless was limited to 3 episodes this week, as March Madness Basketball brings its annual preemptions. Here's a look at what happened and what's coming up. I'll say this about Holden. Nate should be worried. He and Audra have amazing chemistry. As for Damien, I enjoyed continuing to see another side of him as he embraces not only his mother again, but also of his new half-brother. He brought out a bantery fun side of Lily last week, but that was gone in the scenes at Society where she and Devin saw Audra with Holden. It bugs me that the siblings are written so humorless much of the time. There's even a thread in CelAP's message boards with the headline, "Devin and Lily were insufferable today." Maybe Holden should send a picture of margaritas to their table. Looking ahead, clearly, Damien's boss, Aristotle Dumas, is going to figure into the story somehow. And of course, Victor suddenly has a history with him. The kidnapping is over, but the scars remain, and the culprit is still on the loose. Hence, Phyllis' emotional struggles in the aftermath. It makes all the sense in the world. What I can't figure out is why Sharon is absolutely fine. Being locked up in a mental facility with her rival on the heels of being chained up in a dirty cold sewer, drugged repeatedly, and being accused of murder, including the actual dumping of a dead body, suggests that she should also be having some issues right about now. Instead, she's focused on her love life. My take on Nick refusing her invitation to London. He'll eventually decide to go, or they'll eventually get together. The writers are just dragging it out. As for Phyllis, though Summer asked Nick to come and check on her mother with her, it's clearly Billy the redhead will be leading on as we launch into a Sally/Billy/Phyllis love triangle. Traci's an award-winning novelist, and I believe writes mysteries. Therefore, it shouldn't take her long to put the pieces together where Alan's concerned. With Kyle conveniently mentioning Sharon and Phyllis being rescued from an abandoned clinic right after Alan received a series of alerts about a breach on his phone, and Alan subsequently fleeing the country, it became all too easy to figure out. As happens all too often with the current writers, I literally felt the build-up in the storyline deflate when I saw the preview with Traci telling Jack she's worried that Alan isn't who he says he is. Why not keep Traci entirely in the dark for a shocking blindside at the wedding at least? While it will be satisfying to see Alan, or Martin, exposed, this is quickly shaping up to be another fumble/fizzle. Traci Abbott had always been a woman of resilience and integrity, but nothing had prepared her for the storm that was about to descend upon her life. Alan had entered her world like a whisper, subtle, warm, and seemingly trustworthy. He was intelligent, charming, and had an air of mystery about him that had initially intrigued her. But that intrigue had slowly transformed into suspicion, a gnawing sense of unease that refused to let go. It began with little things. Alan would disappear for hours without explanation, his phone constantly buzzing with messages he never shared. He spoke of his past in fragmented sentences, never quite giving away the full picture. Traci had dismissed these red flags at first, convincing herself that not everyone was as open and forthright as she was. But the unease only deepened when she discovered a letter, one that would change everything. The letter had been tucked away inside one of Alan's drawers, hidden beneath a stack of old books. It was aged, its edges slightly frayed, and the ink had begun to fade, but the message was still painfully clear. Alan, you promised me. You swore you wouldn't let them find out. If they do, everything we've built will come crashing down. You have to fix this before it's too late. Traci's hands trembled as she read the words over and over again. Who had written this? What had Alan promised to keep secret? The more she thought about it, the more the pieces of the puzzle refused to fit together. She needed answers, and she needed them now. Determined to uncover the truth, Traci started digging deeper. She went through Alan's belongings, searching for any clue that might shed light on the mystery. What she found sent a chill down her spine. A series of documents under a different name. Bank statements from an account she had never heard of. And the most damning of all, a photograph of Alan with a woman Traci didn't recognize. They weren't just acquaintances. Their body language suggested a closeness, an intimacy that couldn't be ignored. Confronting Alan wasn't going to be easy. Traci knew that if he had been hiding something this big, he wouldn't confess easily. She had to be smart, calculated, so she waited until dinner that evening, when they were sitting across from each other in the dimly lit dining room. She placed the letter on the table between them and watched as Alan's face drained of color. "Where did you find this?" His voice was barely above a whisper, his fingers twitching slightly. Alan hesitated, his eyes darting across the room as if looking for an escape. "Traci, it's not what you think." For a moment, silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken truths. Then, with a heavy sigh, Alan leaned back in his chair. "Her name was Evelyn," he admitted. "She was my wife. She died 5 years ago," he continued. "But before she did, we were involved in something complicated." Alan rubbed a hand over his face. "We had invested in a project, one that was supposed to be revolutionary, but we discovered too late that it was a scam. People lost millions, and when the authorities started investigating, Evelyn panicked. She begged me to cover it up." Alan hesitated. "I helped bury some of the evidence," he admitted, "not because I wanted to, but because I loved her. I thought I was protecting her. When Evelyn passed, I tried to leave it all behind," Alan said. "I changed my name, moved here, and started over. But the past has a way of catching up." Traci felt her world tilt. The man she had trusted, the man she had opened her heart to, had been living a lie. "So what now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Alan reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "I didn't want to lie to you, Traci. I just didn't know how to tell you without losing you." Tears stung at the back of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "You already have." She stood, her chair scraping against the floor as she stepped away. She had loved Alan, but she couldn't ignore the truth. He had made his choices, and now she had to make hers. As she walked out the door, Traci knew one thing for certain. She would never let herself be blindsided again. The past might have a way of catching up, but she wasn't going to let it define her future.